in renewable energy and energy efficiency.
630 million people lack reliable access to energy, and 790 million people still rely on solid biomass for basic energy needs.
Learn more about the COMESA initiative by watching a special COMESA documentary this Thursday, the 3rd of March, only on KBC Channel 1 from 10 p.m.
Hivi unakuja tunapiga chini. Navutanga peke yangu saa ngapi?
Mnavuta na nani?
Na huyu tunavutanga na yeye.
Nakulisha na mnaifi mimi ni papa yako.
Yo auntie, take a chill pill man.
Anaongea ni kama mwanapulanga bangi na matao. Mnaweza mpima tafadhali.
Hiyo bangi wewe ndio umekuwa ukinipea.
Akili ni nywele. Si ni kweli?
Lakini ndio nimesema wale
between me and you. Nani yuko na akili? Take me home.
Where is your home?
Prison. That's my home, yes.
amezoea mheshimiwa.
Yeah.
Kwani kumtaja Allah tabaraka wa taala ni Mwenyezi Mungu kutupa direction ya kuwa sisi tupate usalama wa hapa duniani na kesho akhira.
Kitendo ambacho ni chema zaidi ya vitendo vyote, ambacho kinaweza kuongeza daraja ya binadamu mbele ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na bora hata zaidi ya kupigana jihadi, ni kitendo cha kumkumbuka Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. إذا السماء انشقت
swala zote na salamu zimfikie Hashimu mwenye cheo.
I'm involved in ballet, modeling and karate. Cleaning the environment is very important. It helps people not to get sick.
We will be reading from this particular book, Gamba la Kobe na hadithi nyingine.
Today I'm going to show you guys on how to make the yummiest, fluffiest pancake at home.
I'm going to teach you how to make bubble flowers.
Oceans rise, my soul will rest, we all embrace, so I am yours.
Good evening, welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now, ODM has dismissed claims by the Deputy President William Ruto that the 2022 presidential elections might not be free and fair. And also, have you registered your SIM card? Well, you have only 1 month before you are switched off. And in business, your favorite piece is coming on the young and innovation on industrialization. And also in sports, Karen Kibet has the stories for you. But first, let's have the highlights.
And will be a biannual award. It will be accompanied by a monetary award of $20,000, and the first awardee will be announced on the 1st of June.
Promoting environment conservation, Kenya to award environment and peace champions.
We are not going to allow anybody to mess with this exam, just like we have done in the past. And for those crooks who think that we don't know what they are doing, we are watching you.
Education for all. The government moves curb exam malpractice even as it assures candidates of their security as they sit for the national exercise. Nanny from hell. A house manager is arraigned in court over the death of a toddler left in her care. Our sign interpreter is Lucy Maura, and remember you can send us your feedback on KBC Channel 1 on Twitter, Instagram and also our Facebook pages. We would like to hear from you, and I will be reading some of your comments at the end of the bulletin. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has announced the creation of a Peace and Environmental Award dubbed Amani and Mazingira Global Award as part of celebrations to mark the 50th anniversary of the United Nations Environment Program. The president said the biannual award, to be sponsored by the government, will be given to persons or institutions that champion environmental and sustainability with peace. Ben Chumba has the report.
Environment and peace champions in the country are set to receive a 2 million shillings prize award beginning 1st June this year, as the government announced the creation of a Peace and Environment Award.
And will be a bi-annual award.
Examinations to enable these 2,000 that are at roofing level to finish, so that we can take the completion rate to about 95% or so.
Magoha issued a stern warning to center managers using Telegram to leak examination papers.
We are not going to allow anybody to mess with this exam, just like we have done in the past. And for those crooks who think that we don't know what they are doing, we are watching you.
The task force has been forced to tighten loopholes to ensure a credible examination process.
We shall then decide whether we can bring back the time of opening the containers from 6 o'clock to 6:30. That will then reduce the time for the crooks, and then also to ask each individual station to be sure that if the school is next door, there is no reason to give the exam to that school 1 hour ahead of time.
Magoha reassured all candidates of their security during the examination period.
We have created certain schools which are going to act as boarding schools.
The Azimio la Umoja movement is now seeking to capitalize on the youth population of the country in the race to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta, with ODM leader Raila Odinga asking young voters from Kisii and Nyamai counties to back him for the top seat. Tomorrow, the Azimio la Umoja brigade will be heading to Bungoma County for a series of rallies. Wycliffe Okech, Prime Edition from Kisii County.
Now, still in politics, Deputy President William Ruto has pledged to operationalize the judicial fund if he is elected president. Speaking during the tour of the United States, Ruto claimed there is a deliberate move to financially starve constitutional bodies to render them capable of fighting graft.
Deputy President William Ruto continued with his tour of the United States Thursday. Speaking during an interview hosted by Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Ruto termed lack of funding as the biggest hindrance to the war against graft. He vowed to operationalize the judicial fund if elected president. The DP warning against the use of the war against corruption to settle political scores.
Immediately we come into office, we will operationalize the judicial fund. Operationalizing the judicial fund, which is in the Constitution, but has deliberately not been operationalized because there are people who want to continue to use the war against corruption as a political tool against their opponents. So, operationalizing the judicial fund will do three things. Number one, it will give the resources to the judiciary to hire the men and women who can then prosecute cases. Number two, it will give them the opportunity to build the software and the training of those people. And number three, it would make it that much more easy to determine cases within the shortest time possible.
Ruto used the international platform to dismiss his critics, maintaining that his vision for the country is clear.
My team and I have a credible plan.
Kwani kumtaja Allah tabaraka wa taala ni Mwenyezi Mungu kutupa direction ya kuwa sisi tupate usalama wa hapa duniani na kesho akhira.
Kitendo ambacho ni chema zaidi ya vitendo vyote, ambacho kinaweza kuongeza daraja ya binadamu mbele ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na bora hata zaidi ya kupigana jihadi, ni kitendo cha kumkumbuka Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Idha as-samaa'u
Assembly Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on Thursday engaged the Register of Political Parties on her preparedness for the August polls and the impact the pending court cases on the Political Parties Amendment Bill would have on milestones made in readiness for the forthcoming elections.
Being a lawyer, my word is this: our judiciary is unpredictable, sometimes very controversial. Suppose the courts declare this law unconstitutional, and there's a possibility that may happen. What's your fallback position? Are you ready with plan B? That's one. Number two, Chair, in terms of clause 75 of this act, once the coalition agreement is deposited with you, then the coalition partners become a coalition party. How do you reconcile individual members of a coalition party being at the same time members of their individual parties when the law says you can't be a member of more than one party at a time?
This is our commitment that as an institution we are prepared to handle our task, and we are ready.
The registrar claiming our office is prepared to handle 2022 poll irrespective of the court outcomes in the two petitions challenging the newly enacted Political Parties Act.
In 1 week or so, we shall also have finalized the independent candidate management system that will be used in uploading and approving symbols, that Kenyans have no reason to travel all the way to Nairobi to come to be cleared. They upload their symbols, we check the symbols online, and we check whether they are members, the application online, and then they will come only to pick the letter and be cleared.
MPs also sought to understand the process of cleansing political party register and whether the registrar had plans to engage telecommunication companies to reduce chances of deregistration of members by persons with ill intentions. The registrar was also required to explain how the registration of members of the public to parties without consent will be cured.
A message is supposed to come to your phone requesting for your consent to be registered in a particular political party, and it also gives you the offer to decline that registration. This is in line in Data Protection Act, so that it is the member who actually give consent to be registered in a given.
Registered your SIM card. You have a month to do so, lest you are switched off. The Communications Authority of Kenya has set aside this month as the deadline for telcos to deactivate all active and registered SIM cards.
The latest data from the Communications Authority of Kenya indicates that there are 64.9 million active mobile subscriptions. Despite this, some of these subscriptions are not registered as per the registration of SIM cards regulations of 2015, which requires mobile network service operators to suspend and deactivate SIM cards belonging to subscribers who failed to register by mid-February 2016.
Assume you are cut off today, and tomorrow you wake up with your ID and present yourself in the customer care shop and say, my number used to be, you will be reactivated.
However, mobile networks operate
left for work the following day, leaving her 1.5-year-old son and Kibe under Nyaboki's care. When she returned home in the evening, she found the child with injuries on the head, face and swollen hips. Nyaboke claimed the child had fallen down in the house. Ongoi took the child to hospital where he died while undergoing treatment, with the cause of death identified as internal bleeding. The late Kibe was on Thursday laid to rest at his mother's home in Kyambururu village, Githunguri sub-county. Meanwhile, the probe into the death of Kenjokoma brothers continued on Thursday morning, with one of the witnesses, Chris Hunt, being cross-examined on his testimony. He told the court that on their way home, they spotted a police Land Cruiser parked by the road with a police officer in civilian clothes standing outside the car. The person will then chase them, and as they took off, they heard Emmanuel Mutura, one of the two deceased, fall. The hearing continues. Finally, a middle-aged businessman, Joseph Masharia, has been charged with fraud of over 20 million shillings. He's said to have falsely obtained the money from Salome Wangoi, purporting to engage her in a joint business of supplying school uniforms. Masharia pleaded not guilty and was granted a bond of 5 million shillings or a cash bill of 1 million shillings. The matter will be mentioned on 17th March.
Standard Assurance Company policyholders are set to receive 172.5 million shillings as compensation from the Policyholders Compensation Fund. However, the fund has been capped at a maximum of 250,000 shillings per claim.
Standard Assurance Company was placed under statutory management on 11th March 2009 after running into financial headwinds, failing to pay claims. At the time the underwriter was placed under statutory management, the firm had accumulated 1.2 billion shillings in unpaid claims. The Standard Assurance Company policyholders are now set to receive 172.5 million shillings. Policyholder Compensation Fund has officially commenced the process of payment of 690 policyholder claims for the company. The fund has capped the maximum compensation payable by the fund on any one claim launched by a at 250,000 shillings. The fund's managing trustee, William Masita, says, quote, "In undertaking this process, the fund will compensate the policyholder claims of Standard Insurance Company and subsequently undertake compensation of claimants of the other insurance." End of quote. This is the second time that the fund is making such a payment and comes 8 months after its first payout to policyholders of companies under statutory management. Last year, the fund paid 390 million shillings to claimants of Concord Insurance Company, which collapsed in 2013, having a gross premiums of 181 million shillings. According to a schedule by the fund, policyholders from the defectant Blue Shield Insurance Company will be paid a total of 2.3 billion shillings. United Insurance Company, which is also under statutory management, will receive 909.3 million shillings. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, lack of coordination of stakeholders and experts in the startups and innovation sector is derailing the growth of the sector. Despite the immense development in the sector in the past years, the lack of coordination and sufficient policy strategies saw Kenya improve one position in the global innovation ranking, jumping from 86 in 2020 to 85 in 2021.
According to the World Intellectual Property Index, Kenya was ranked 95th in the 2021 Global Competitive Index with a score of 27.5. However, the country polled better in innovation by scoring 85th through the Global Innovation Index. Stakeholders now say these scores can be enhanced, with players pointing to better coordination and policy strategies.
All right, because unless you define the destination with modest clarity, then you don't muscle the energy together. Otherwise, some people do other things that may not necessarily support your agenda. So one of the things we have committed ourselves this year is to develop the 10-year Kenya's Innovation Master Plan.
At the launch of the Kenya Innovation Week 2021 report and the announcement of the concept note for Kenya's 10-year Innovation Master Plan, innovators also called for a common portal and innovation index to document total number of startups and innovations in the country as the nation seeks to tidy up its innovation registry.
As you can see, we also have a lot of overlapping sort of strategic focus with Kenya, and that's why we are encouraging linkages and not working in silos, as we've talked about earlier, to be able to strengthen the Kenyan innovation system. One, by using a digital platform that will map the key stakeholders, that is the SMEs, the startups and ESOs and investors.
This comes at a time when Kenya ranks highly with unique innovations amid challenges such as poor linkages, skills mismatch, technological conflicts, among other teething problems.
COVID has told us that in most cases in a pandemic at this scale, you sort of have to depend on yourself. And so how do you kind of nurture that spirit of innovation so that you're able to understand these are the problems we have, but also these problems create opportunities. And we saw what Kenyans were able to do in the last year.
Players say catalysts to growth start with events such as the Kenya Innovation Week that brings together small and large enterprises, local innovators, startup investors, and venture capitalists, among others. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
Hard work and consistency pays. This sits well with Hassan Ramadhani, who at the age of 22 convinced his friends in Nairobi's Majengo slums to venture into business. That was in the year 2000. Today, the 35-member group is raking in 1.2 million shillings monthly on average from their business in Gikomba. Yusuf Farah spent an afternoon with Ramadan and gives us the story Uprising Youth Group.
The Uprising Plaza Majengo area. This building consists of 29 stalls owned by the Uprising Youth Group. These stalls are for hiring out to businessmen and women dealing in second-hand clothes, otherwise known as Mutumba business. The founder of the group, Hassan Ramadan, shows us around. This isn't, however, where the group started. Ramadan tells me the idea occurred to him in the year 2000. The group started off with these 9 rooms, boosting the earnings doing garbage collection.
Then hizo days ilikuwa tu keja na ilipoa sawa. So it to take a lot of years kujaribu kujiput together.
Where this couch sits today used to be a dumping site.
Takataka yote ya huku mtaa wapi Gikomba yote ilikuwa inaletwa hapa. So ilikuwa pia iko na health hazards. Unakuta hapa kulikuwa moshi. So unakuta zimeingia kwa mahao. Hapa asubuhi unaweza kuta watu hiyo wametupwa. Ilikuwa ni mess.
It took the group 3 years of garbage clearance and a little help from the then local administration to get this space which members converted to what it is now. Earnings from this business, coupled with a 600,000 shilling loan from the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, led to the much-needed expansion to create space for the plaza. It has taken 5 years to have the plaza get to this point. Even though it's not complete, the group is reaping big from renting the usable section of the investment.
Sasa hiyo watu wakaona la kumbe place sasa inaweza kuwa business place other than a criminal area. Hivyo mabizi wakaanza kuita wenzao, tukaona kumbe ni kitu inaweza. So through sasa kucombine hizo incomes hizo project nimekwambia, ndio tukakuwa tunaongeza flow after flow. Flow after flow. So na pia ika pick kwa business people wakaona ile place inaweza.
The joint investments have had tremendous ripple effect in the economic growth of the group members. Each one of them boasts of owning a piece of land at Kentafu, Machakos County, over and above being assured of a monthly earning of 16,000 shillings from the business.
So mimi nikiwa niko poa, mimi naweza enda kujenga. Tukizungumzia mambo ya kuwa empowered through mambo na leadership. Uprising imeplay role kubwa sana.
Kuna mavijana wamefika university level through education assistance from Uprising, however little.
As a way of giving back to the society, the Uprising Youth Group has put up this facility to benefit local children.
The only thing itafanya watu hii wakitoka shule wako na place ya kustudy other than kuengage
The group hopes to venture into the Mutumba importation business in the future to grow their income and provide more jobs for more youths. As for Ramadan, now 42 years old and a serving GSU officer in the sports unit, his happiness is the ever-evolving narrative in the informal settlements, where young people are increasingly becoming agents of change.
Na ndio tunataka ku-inspire more youths than watu wanaweza ku-utilize what they have other than kungoja employment. Watu wakitumia tu akili na kuangalia environment yao vile iko na nini ina lack, watu wanaweza ku-make vitu ambazo zinaweza ku-impact community.
We're standing above the 4th floor of this resource center owned by the self-help group, but the group is not quite done yet. There is plans to upgrade this building to 6 floors further up, and in this way achieve more financial independence for the group and its members. Yusufar reporting for Young and Industrious from Majengo, Nairobi County.
Well, the power of unity, that story is inspiring. Coming up after this, airports and airstrips are going to receive a facelift in the country. I have the details after the break.
COMESA, in partnership with other regional bodies, is working on the harmonization of energy policy and regulatory framework to promote investment in renewable energy and energy efficiency.
630 million people lack reliable access to energy, and 790 million people still rely on solid biomass for basic energy needs.
Learn more about the COMESA initiative by watching a special COMESA documentary this Thursday, the 3rd of March, only on KBC Channel 1 from 10 p.m.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Welcome back. Now, airports and airstrips in the country are receiving a facelift to the tune of 800 million shillings. The first phase has been rehabilitation of taxiways, aprons and airfield ground lighting, with runways to be reworked in the second phase. Kenya Airports Authority says the country is positioning itself to be able to attract business as the sector recovers the post-COVID-19 shutdown.
The Kenya Airports Authority is seeking to improve the functionality, safety and efficiency of aviation facilities in the country. KAA General Manager Alex Gitari says the infrastructure development is key to ensuring the aviation industry is tapping its full potential both locally and internationally.
We've put in close to 800 million shillings to rehabilitate the taxiways, the aprons, and the airfield ground lighting. That's already largely completed. There's a second phase to that project, which will be rehabilitation of the main runway to address certain weaknesses that have developed over time.
He was speaking during the launch of iFly Air's new route from Nairobi's Wilson Airport to Wajir International Airport, where he said the addition of frequencies and connectivity in domestic travel shows that the industry is on a recovery route.
We see this as an addition in terms of frequencies, in terms of connectivity for domestic travel. It's also a real boost in terms of showing that the aviation industry has come out of the COVID stress.
So us connecting Wajir in the afternoon flight will give connectivity that somebody from other destinations, Mombasa, Eldoret, Lodwar, can connect directly with our flights departing 2:30 to Wajir Airport.
iFly Air Managing Director Abdullahi Hassan said the flight will ease the movement for the people in Wajir. He said the airline was looking to give passengers flying to Wajir the option of more than one flight a day.
Our timing was strategically to address the problem that exists in Wajir currently, where if the morning aircraft, if you miss it, then it's up to the following day. But now we have solved that problem that even if you miss the morning flights of the other carriers, then you have afternoon flight to catch up with. We want to give a guarantee that all the staffs operating here, maybe from the operations department, reservations department, sales department, all the department, employment will be given to the locals.
Different airlines are striving to boost connectivity throughout Kenya by launching new routes. This is to help the recovery of the transport sector. Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
The Kimunyu Caves in Gatundu, South Kiambu County are a holy place for Christians who visit the Mau Mau Caves for prayers and fasting. Tonight on Magical Scenes, Irene Muchuma Odim highlights attractions in Kimunyu, among them waterfalls.
The historical holy caves situated in Kimunyu village have been famous among Christians from different denominations who stream here in droves to pray and fast. Kenyatta Road along the Thika superhighway is the turn one takes to get here. Mau Mau fighters are said to have used the caves as a hideout from the colonial forces during the struggle for independence. After Kenya attained independence, the caves were converted to a holy place by village elders. At least 1,000 Christian faithful visit the shrine monthly.
Ilianza kuombeo kama muda wa miaka 35. Na tangu hizi siku hiyo Wakristiano bado wanaendelea kuombea huko. Wakati ya vita ikuwa natumika kwa hii naita Mau Mau kujificha huko wakipigana mbebero. Kama upande wanaombea wakati hawakwenda kuombea huko. Pandi hii tulikuwa na shida sana. Kwa sababu kama hii nungu zilikuwa nakaa huku chini. Na tangu walianza kuombea huko, area hiyo sasa hii wanyama huwezi kuwaona.
While on a visit, you enjoy the picturesque view of indigenous plantation, waterfall and coffee plantation beneath the Tiririka River.
Nilianza kuja kwa hii mlima 2010 na hakika nimeona mkono wa Mungu mahali unakuja tu kuongea na Mungu, kwa sababu mara nyingine tukiombea kwa nyumba ama kwa chachi kuna kuanga na mambo ingine inaingia katikati, unasikia hiyo maombi ni kama haiendi sawa kabisa. Lakini ukikuja mahali hapa hakuna sufuria, hakuna jikoni, hakuna watoto, unakuja kuongea na Mungu peke yake.
Vile utakuwa na giza, nitahakisha taa yangu na nitakuwa na nuru. So nitaweza kuwa nasoma Biblia, nitaweza kuwa napiga magoti, ninaomba, maombi yakiisha na tu na relax hapa na ngojea sauti ya Mungu inenene.
The Tiririka River flows freely, cascading to Tumabi waterfalls. The locals describe the Tumabi as one of the magical waterfalls in the region. And as Christians celebrate the Lent period, Kimonyo village would be appropriate for those who look up for tranquility and ample time with their Creator. Irene Mchuma Odim, magical scenes in the county of Kiambu.
Magical Scenes comes every Thursday. Now, the European Union is adopting new financing modalities and a new sub-granting facility for civil society organizations to encompass neglected grassroots CBOs and NGOs. EU's Kenya's deputy head, Katrin Hegman, says the pandemic stretched most civil societies thin, and the union aims to revive the sector with better outreach.
Among the matters the European Union aims to boost in the next 3 years through civil societies include natural capital boost, the green economy, sustainable energy and inclusive and resilient urbanization and transport. EU Deputy Head Katrin Hagman says they're injecting 3.5 billion shillings into funding for CSOs, which will run course for the next 3 years.
Notably, when it comes to reaching out to these organizations which do not usually have access to funding, either because they are too small or because they are too inexperienced and insufficiently capacitated.
The union notes most funding is lost in intermediary institutions, and it is working on an all-inclusive sub-granting facility that recognizes institutions that work with individuals at the grassroots.
Do not fund only the usual suspects. You need to reach out to the full diversity of CSOs out there.
Smaller CBOs working in various issues and not necessarily on our core area of focus, so that we can expand the ambit of our intervention as much as possible.
Civil societies have noted that there is a need for a paradigm shift that better suits the Kenyan scene owing to changing factors, such as the effect of COVID-19 and Kenya's innovative growth in the recent past. They also lament that big projects are earmarked for large organizations, and smaller NGOs and CBOs could also partake in them with efficient capacity building.
When they don't have decent work, they don't have decent employment, these workers are left vulnerable.
To get Romans chapter 10 as your skiza tune on your phone, dial star 811 star 962 hash.
If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Romans chapter 10 verse 9.
To get Romans chapter 10, dial star 811 star 962 hash. Star 811 star 962 hash.
Welcome back. Thank you for keeping it Prime Edition. It's now time for us to take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, the 2022 Magical Kenya Open teed off at the Par 71 Muthaika Golf Club course. A field of 144 players are in the hunt for the top prize of $300,000 at the second event of the DP World Tour season.
Englishman Daniel Gavin is the first round leader of the 2022 Magical Kenya Open after carding a round of 7 under par 64 at the Par 71 Muthaika Golf Club course. Gavin had 9 birdies and 2 bogeys in the round. American Johannes Veerman and Shubhankar Sharma of India are joint second on 6 under par 65. Junior amateur Njoroge Kibogo is the best placed Kenyan on 1 under par 70 with Greg Snow on level par 71. Paul Chidale is the best player from the Safari Tour on 3 under par 68.
I feel good, feel positive, just ready to go for it tomorrow. The setup was a bit different. Some pins I've never seen, but greens were quite quick and hard, so just that's all really.
Well, there's a big difference, and the tee boxes the holes are very long, and the greens fast and hard. And the way we were practicing different course, and today we're playing also different course.
In all sports, culture and heritage, Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Amina Mohamed has said that the government is committed to the growth of the sport in Kenya.
We continue to support, this tournament. We also support the ladies one because we want to provide equal opportunity for exposure, for practice to both our men and women who are our compatriots and continue to showcase actually their prowess at this game. You've seen some of our young players, and they're doing really, really well today.
The tournament enters round 2 on Friday, where the top 60 players will get a chance to play for a share of the $2 million prize fund. For Prime Edition, I am Daniel Wahome.
Thank you, Daniel Wahome, for that detailed report. Now, on to Matches Rugby. The 2022 Bats Under-20 Trophy will be held in Nairobi from the 9th to 17th of April. This was confirmed by Kenya Rugby Union Chairman Odwor Gangla during the official launch of the Rugby Africa 2020 competition calendar in Kampala, Uganda. Gangla said this year 8 teams will take part, led by hosts Kenya, Madagascar, Senegal, Tunisia, Zimbabwe, Ivory Coast, Namibia and Zambia. The winners of the competition will earn a slot to represent the African continent at the World Rugby Junior Trophy. Kenya are the current champions after defeating Madagascar 21-20 in last year's title decider at the Nyayo National Stadium in Nairobi. The Kenya National Rally Championship Series leader Karan Patel will be looking to conquer Nakuru rally terrain as focus shifts to the Mogotio Equator area this weekend. The event will start and finish at the Mogotio Cultural Center on the Equator Zone. SC Freiburg secured an extra time 2-1 win over VfL Bochum in the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal to book a spot in the semi-finals. Meanwhile, Hamburg registered a 3-2 win on penalties after a 2-2 draw in normal time with Karlsruhe, while RB Leipzig registered a 4-0 win over Hanover. And finally, Chelsea beat championship side Luton Town 3-2 to reach the FA Cup quarterfinals in a tie overshadowed by Honor Roman decision to sell the club. Meanwhile, Liverpool secured a 2-1 victory over Norwich City to also book their place in the FA Cup last 8. And that's all we had for you tonight. I'll see you tomorrow on Easy Friday Prime Edition with more sports news. My name is Karen Kibat, but the broadcast is not yet over, as I do hand you back to Cynthia Nyamai for you. Cynthia, take it away.
Just looking at your comments, and someone is asking how many days to SIM registration. Closure comes in 30 days. That's Kagumo from Nyeri. Remember, it's 30 days. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. From me and my team, we wish you a good night. This gives us time to reflect about the challenges that women are facing. What are the opportunities? What are the solutions? And even the progress made so far.
Life just became something else. I saw from a child's eye what ostracization means. You know, widow's ostracization means, where you no longer belong to your family because your parents married you off.
Yes.
And yet now you have no husband, so you no longer belong into your matrimonial community. Every good, every bad, every evil has something to do with who I am. Even the atrociousness of hiding under a bed in a dark, small madhouse with my grandma is the reason I'm out there building homes for ostracized widows.
Yes.
Nikiwasha hivi unakuja, tunapiga chini. Navutanga peke yangu saa ngapi?
Mnavuta na nani?
Na huyu tunavutanga na yeye.
Nakulisha na mna hivi, mimi ni papa yako.
Yo, auntie, take a chill pill, man.
Anaongea ni kama mnakulanga bangi na matao. Mnaweza mpima tafadhali.
Hiyo bangi wewe ndio umekuwa ukinipea.
Akili ni nywele. Si ni kweli?
Lakini ndio nimesema wale
between me and you. Nani yuko na akili? Take me home, take me home.
Where is your home?
Prison. That's my home, yes.
Amezoea mheshimiwa.
Yeah.
Despite its